Hello, my name is Mr. 3D Land, and in today's video I want to talk a little bit about custom crafting. So I know you're all curious and you want to finally see it, so without boring you to death, let me just show you one stick to dirt, because I'm so creative we get a dirt sword out of it. So I know most of you probably think, yeah, well, custom crafting, making custom crafting recipes, that was already possible. What are you showing here right now? Well, it is, and it wasn't, because you see, it is basically kind of is the holy grail of map making, which we lately got a lot of them. So it is one of the 10,000s of holy grails, basically. But yeah, what was added now is the ability to NBT craft, or better, component craft, because NBT for items no longer is a thing, but we probably will look into that in a bit. But yeah, basically what you couldn't do was, you couldn't make a recipe where the output would give you something like, in this case, a sword that has a damage on it, or that is a little bit damaged, or that has a custom name, or in this case even has a custom texture. Because if we look on this item, it's actually a diamond sword, but the normal diamond sword still exists. So this is basically a custom item, and it is even enchanted, even though it doesn't have enchantments on it, and it is customly named. And it is now able to make recipes like this, where previously you couldn't do stuff like that. The same now also, by the way, works for the furnace. So we can take something like a stick, and if we wait a little bit, out of it we get a burning stick. Again, I have no idea why. It's what is the only thing that came to mind, because I'm uncreative. But yeah, if you look at this item as an example, it still is a Minecraft stick. It has now just 6 components instead of the usual 4 components that the default stick has. And we get a burning stick out of it. So what is modified here is the custom model component, which changes the model texture of the item. Sadly, currently, we can't add components on the ingredient side, only on the import side, only on the output side. So it's not possible for you to currently make something like needing a burning stick in order to craft something new out of it. That's currently not possible. You can't specify components in the input slot. It's only possible on the output slot. So on this side of the crafting table, you are still limited to the default Minecraft resources, and you can't make custom items for this side. But I hope that this will be added soon, and if it is, it's probably as easy in adding it as the output side, which we will take a look in now. So this is the JSON format of the custom crafting. I won't go over with you on how you completely can create something like this from scratch, because I even don't do it from scratch. Basically, just go in the Minecraft jar, take a default recipe, copy it out, and change some values. Take some generators. It's really not that hard. Doing stuff like this on your own is just stupid, so don't do it. But basically, what you have here is we have the ingredients, so the key, which tells the game basically that those 2 symbols represent a stick and a dirt. So here's the recipe specified, and we then define what the output is. But what's now possible is that we import a component field inside of the result, and with that we can now get the sword, the custom sword out of it. So as you can see here, I just made that our result is a diamond sword. But it gets the components custom model data 1, it gets damage of 500. I added a custom name here. I even told it enchantment glint override, which basically just is new with the components. It tells it that it's enchanted even though it doesn't have enchantments. You now can even make enchanted items and don't show the enchantment glint. That's relatively cool. And then we have the custom data here, which tells the game, which gives the sword the custom data of I am a sword. And we will go into what this means now. So in order to understand components, let's just take a quick look in how it previously worked. So if we take a look, so if we basically press F3 and H, we get the advanced tooltips hidden, but we want to show them because the default is hidden. And then we basically get the ID of the sort. And if you look at the bottom, you see NBT1 tag. So basically previously everything on items was stored in NBT. So if we would get the NBT of the diamond sword, which we can just get by getting the NBT of our player itself and just selecting the path of selected item, which basically just takes the ID of the item the player is holding, we can see that the player is holding a Minecraft sword and a count of 1B. And in here he has a tag, which is the NBT tag that we see here. And in here it tells us, hey, the diamond sword, the default one, already has an NBT of 1 tag, because the only tag that is stored in the default diamond sword is the damage tag, which tells us that the diamond sword has a damage of 0. And those tags can change. As an example, if we take an anvil and we rename it to Gugu, Gaga, subscribe to Alien, you see that now our diamond sword has 2 NBT tags, and if we run the same command again, we see that now in the tag there are actually 2 NBT values stored, which is the damage and the display NBT tag, which now tells the diamond sword that it has a custom name. And this was previously how you would edit NBT, so you could give yourself a diamond sword as an example, again. And then you could just specify stuff like this and tell the game, hey, I want to have a diamond sword with the NBT of a damage 100, and then we get a damaged diamond sword. And you could do all sorts with it. So as an example, I could just now add the display one that we just saw, which I don't know if I get it right the first time, but I think it should be something like this. Yeah. And now you can see this is how we can give ourselves a custom sword with different NBT tags. And this was the old method of doing things. So now let us take a look on how the new system works. So basically, if we take a look at our items, we basically, the whole NBT tag was removed. Now we see how many components it has, but those default components, you can't actually see them. So if we run the same command, we now don't see anything. But we can still use them to give ourselves some items. So as an example, if we would now want to give ourselves a diamond sword with damage, we could still run the old command, but it would do something different. So I'm doing it. The syntax still works. So if I give myself a diamond sword with a damage of 100, you now will see that I get a diamond sword. The command worked, but it doesn't have damage. And if I run the selected item command now, you will see something different, because it now tells us, hey, it has components, and it now has a custom data component, and the custom data is 100, because this here now no longer specifies the NBT. Instead, it specifies custom data. And for what is that there? Basically, it is there so that we still are able to give our items custom, NBT, but now it's called data. So previously with the old system, I could do something like laser sword 1B, and I could use that later to test for commands and such. That no longer works with components, because you can't create custom components, but you can just use custom data, which is a component. So there is a custom data component, and in that you can specify your custom components. So basically, if you would run all your old give commands, still would work, but what they would do is they would take everything from the previously NBT field and put it under custom data, which isn't what you want. So if we would now want to give ourselves a diamond sword with damage, what we instead would do is we would take we would use the square brackets, and then we can see all the components that exist in the default game, in the vanilla game. Maybe some mods add some too, but basically now we can use the Minecraft damage component, because now it's a component, and we can now tell him, hey, we want a damage of 100, and we get a diamond sword out of it that has a damage value of 100. And if we now run the same command again, we now see, hey, components, Minecraft damage 100. And this is now our component that tells the game that we have this diamond sword. And then we could combine those two things by basically taking everything from the square bracket, run the old command again, and combine it with the custom data field. And if I would now run this, now we have two components basically, which is the damage component of 100 and a custom data component in which we now have our custom damage component, which we can now rename to everything we want. So alien is cool as an example. And now we have a damage of 100 and a custom data of alien is cool. By the way, you don't have to put it at the end because, as said, it's a component too. So it's basically just a replacement for putting it in here, because you can also just use the custom data in here and do the same. So alien is not cool. 1B. And basically it's the same. So if we take selected item, it's still Minecraft damage, and under custom data we get the alien is not cool. And basically what you can do now is you can give yourself an item. So say we give ourselves a diamond sword, and we tell it enchantment glint override true. Now we have a diamond sword that is enchanted and has a damage value. And what we can now do is we can get the path of the components alone. So now the only output we get is the components. We open up our Minecraft console, which I was stupid enough to close. So now I opened the console. What we can do now is we can clear the logs, because it makes it a bit easier. We give ourselves the sword again, and we run we clear the logs again. We run the selected item components command again, and now in our console we basically get the whole output, which we can now just custom copy paste, which makes it a lot easier. And in here we can basically replace the whole components part. I made the name just hello because I'm uncreative, and I added custom data of alien is super cool. So what doesn't work in here, you have to remove the bytes in here. That's not allowed. That's also not allowed. This one needs to be highlighted like this, and the whole custom name area here also works differently. Basically the way it works is like this. And if we now reload the game and we go into the crafting table and we craft our item, you can see we get our custom diamond sword out of it. Yeah, basically that is the whole system now. I hope this video was a bit helpful, even though it was a bit long, but it needs a bit of explanation because components is relatively new. And in order for you to understand how custom crafting works, you also need to understand how components work. I hope I made a small preview so you can at least understand a little bit on how they work now. Even though I think you probably need to try them out for yourself, test around with them a bit, because they are something to get used to, because they are changing basically everything on how everything worked. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Maybe consider subscribing and liking this video if you found this video helpful. Checking out my Discord maybe, that would also be much appreciated. I wish you a wonderful evening and good night.